Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's Eloqua Office Hours, Forethought Marketing's monthly discussion for Eloqua professionals. I'm Richard Holder, and I'll be your host today. This presentation is being recorded, and tomorrow you'll receive an email with a link to the replay. We do encourage you to use the Q&A for questions. That helps us queue those up and manage them effectively, make sure we get to everyone that we can. And we welcome new questions for today or for the future. And we also are welcoming tips and tricks that you would like to share with other attendees, because I'm sure everyone would appreciate the things that you have learned over the years. And again, just a reminder, you can submit questions for today's topics or for future sessions if we don't have time to get to them. Joining me today are Sam Gallinelli and Colleen Linehan. They are both part of our operations team and our client facing. So they work with many of our customers and may have worked with you. So just a brief introduction, Sam, if you don't mind, and then we'll go to Colleen and then I'll continue.
Sure. So I'm Sam. I've been working with Forethought now for almost 6 years. But I've been in Eloqua actually my entire career. So that goes back, it's been a long time. I won't age myself, but I've been in Eloqua for a while. I love working in Eloqua. I love working with my clients on all different types of projects, ranging from simple campaigns to complex GDPR compliance build outs. And I love like forensics. So anytime there's an issue or somebody isn't sure why something's happening, getting that opportunity to dig in and try and figure out what happened and resolve an issue is one of my favorite things to do. So that's me. Colleen?
Hello, everyone. I'm Colleen Linehan, and I'm a senior marketing ops consultant here at Forethought. I've been with the company about 2.5 years now, and I help clients with all kinds of challenging situations that need sometimes complex solutions within Eloqua, whether it's data processing or making sure reporting is set up correctly, whatever people need. But yeah, like Sam, I love the troubleshooting and coming up with creative solutions within Eloqua, because as we all probably know, there's lots of ways to solve a problem within Eloqua. So leveraging new and unique ideas to get the intended or desired result.
Great, thank you. And just quickly, I'm Richard Holder. I'm the Director of Marketing here. I've been with Forethought for 5 years, and prior to that, I spent over 12 years in several different companies operating Eloqua. So I have a lot of hands-on experience in the past. Don't do as much as I'd like to today, but I do work for a great organization that helps our customers. All right, with that over, let's dive in and get to our first question. So this question is from Lori. It says, her question is, how do you start tracking marketing touch points as a customer response in Eloqua? Does it require a custom data object? Great question.
All right, I'll jump in and answer that one. So the question specifically was how to do it in Eloqua. I'm going to first say that ideally you do it with a CRM integration, and you're pushing all of your campaign activities into CRM, because that will give you the totality of touch points for a contact in your Eloqua database. But if it has to be within Eloqua, yes, you would need to use a custom object. And the reason why is because contact fields get overwritten, right? And we're limited in our contact fields in Eloqua. So most people have 250, or organizations have 250 fields to work with. And you would have to create a new field every time if you don't want somebody's activities to be overwritten. And that's why we use a custom object for something like that. And there's many different ways to do it, depending on the different types of activities that you want to track. But 100% custom object would be the way to go if you're trying to put it within Eloqua itself.
All right, great, thank you. Let's go on to our next question. It says, this is from Chin. We see exceptionally high open rates by bots and open security systems like Microsoft SafeLinks, excuse me, and Mimecast. And I've contacted Eloqua support, and there is no solution so far. Is there a way to overcome this problem? So I think this is a problem that most of us have. But before I want to ask I get into the response, I want to ask a question. So I'm going to launch a quick poll here. If you don't mind taking a moment and asking the question, do you think open rates are still valuable? Right, get just a few more seconds to get some responses. All right, great. Thank you for everyone who responded. So interesting results. Yes, they are important to about 50%, maybe to 38, and 13% say no. I think it's fascinating because for years we have been talking about how open rates, even when we were not having all these spam and other security checkers exercising these links and artificially increasing the number of clicks, we would see opens that just appeared in the inbox and in the preview window would mark as an open. And so that would not necessarily be accurate. It would just be a system-based open. At the same time, you know, we've used it historically for sends and opens and clicks. So it is a metrics that we've used for many, many years. And trying to solve for this problem is, in many ways, you know, you see Oracle playing whack-a-mole with this and trying to figure out ways to work around these particular problems. I don't know that there is necessarily a foolproof solution for solving this, but it's something that you just need to be observant about and incorporate that into the conversations you have with your leadership when you're sharing those results. Any other comments from the team?
So I think this is where it's important to use benchmarks. And so you're comparing, you know, everyone is going to be exposed to this issue, but if you have a benchmark, that's your average performance, you know, and so you're looking at everything and everything's impacted by this. And so if your open rates are below your average benchmark, then that's an indication that you might have an issue with your subject line or the audience that you're targeting with your communication. But without the benchmarks, it's hard to know if that's impacting how your performance is for that specific email or campaign. And then I think also it affects click to open rates, right? So if you have a lot of bot opens in your metrics, then your click to open rate is going to fall down. But your click-through rate, your unique click-through rate, isn't going to be impacted by bots. So you want to look at each one of those performance metrics and know that like CTO is going to be impacted if the open rates are really high because of bots, but you always have your click-through and you always have a benchmark to look back and compare against. Hopefully that made sense.
Yeah, and I'll just echo what Sam said. I think it can be a useful metric for comparative reporting, whether that's between two emails or, you know, between last month's performance and this month's, but less useful for absolute metrics. So if you're looking at a report and you want to know opens as a quantity of like how many people are opening it, you know, divorced from a comparison, I think then it's becomes less useful and inaccurate. But if you're using it comparatively, it can still have value. I think if you're looking for a more of like numbers of how many individuals are actually interacting with your emails, I've seen a lot of my clients are just looking at click-through rate for that mostly as indicators of engagement with an email.
Great, thank you both for that. And just a reminder, if you do have questions for today, or would like to submit one that we need to do a little more research on, if it's a little tougher, go ahead and put that into the Q&A window. We would love to address those today. So this next one is both a question and a tip we got from Carl. And Carl was asking a question about how to streamline repetitive steps. And I think in Carl's particular use case, he mentioned that they are not using templates and wanted to know if they're and offered a suggestion on how to do that. But I think we want to talk about the importance of templates as well.
Yeah, so my initial reaction to this question is, why aren't you using templates? I think that's one of the great features about Eloqua is for, emails, campaigns, segments. You can create templates, and that saves you a ton of work. It helps you standardize, your branding and anything else across your whole instance so that you lessen the risk of human error, of messing things up. And it's just a huge time saver, especially on your more complex campaigns. So I would ask that person why they're not using templates. And if for some reason there is an operational reason or other reason why they cannot use the templates, obviously cloning a previous campaign that does a similar thing to what you're trying to accomplish can be a solution. One of the pitfalls with that, or something to look out for, is ensuring that you update all the fields and all the links and everything from the previous build. Otherwise, you run the risk of sending the new campaign with some of the old information if you aren't very diligent about updating, campaign fields. Links is a huge one, like email links. Even if you are sending a similar email, you want to update the links. And just there's a little more room for error there, but it can be a time saver instead of starting from scratch every time. And then another trick to copy blocks of a multi-step campaign. So say you're midway through already creating a campaign and you're like, oh shoot, I really need to capture this whole block that's already exists in an existing campaign. I'm going to show you what you can do with that. Make sure I got the right window here.
And while you're getting that ready to go, let me just share a little bit more detail behind Carl's suggestion. In his particular case, they have automation that automatically will create a new campaign, a blank campaign canvas in Eloqua when they create their campaigns in Salesforce. So the automation does all that setup and configuration, and then it just generates a blank canvas. So he doesn't use a template in this particular use case because he's got that nice automation taking care of it. So,
well, there you go. So what I've done here is I created this office hours test campaign is completely blank canvas right now. And I'm going to say that this one is the steps that I want to replicate. So you can highlight all of them and then do Control-C to copy, or you can also right click and choose copy. And you have to do this within the same browser tab, which is unfortunate, but that's how it goes. And then if I open up my blank canvas and I right click and paste, those steps are there. So you can copy and paste in between multi-step campaigns, which can be a useful trick to help you replicate steps from another campaign.
great. Thank you. Anything from you, Sam?
There's one thing that I always use that copy paste functionality for, and it's when I have a global campaign. So I have like one segment and it's got people from all over the world, and I don't want to send somebody an email at 3 a.m. their time. So I have to check like what's their region, and then if it's this region, the next is going to be a wait step that sends at their specific local time. And if they're not in that region, then I check the next region, and it can be 4 or 5 regions, and it can take a long time to manually add all those steps. into a canvas. So that is probably my number one copy paste exercise that I do for my clients.
Great. All right, let me get back to my questions here. So the next question comes out of Europe. It says, what is your recommended approach to managing the expansion of GDPR-like regulations in various countries for companies with a global footprint? I can get that out. So that's a really great question. And even, 6 years later after GDPR has rolled out and other areas have rolled out privacy laws and regulations, they still vary widely. And so there's no one single solution that can solve all of this. We still consider GDPR to be the gold standard. It's probably the most far-reaching and the most comprehensive in terms of privacy regulations. What is also interesting about GDPR is that it was not intended to completely stifle innovation and to stop sales and marketing activities. There's a lot of flexibility within that standard that you can take advantage of, but you do have to define policies, and then you need technology that can help you enforce those policies, mostly around, for example, legitimate interest, how long is it going to last? And, if you've made a purchase, how long can you continue to contact them? Those are all subjective decisions that you can make as part of the conversation you have with your legal team and the rest of your privacy team. So once you establish those policies and you determine how you want to enforce that, then you're going to need that piece of technology that allows you to do that. You need a solution that allows you to configure rules that adapt to each jurisdiction and apply those that are valid and those that don't apply to this particular area. And you need that solution to be something that is configurable. So as laws and regulations change, which they will do, they're constantly being adjusted and new ones are being added. You need a solution that allows you to make those changes easily. And of course, as marketers, we're focused on maximizing the marketing. And so you need a solution that can do that and ensuring privacy compliance. Now, we do have technology ourselves that we call 4Comply that we believe is the best solution for marketers because it was designed from the ground up to take advantage of or implement these capabilities for marketers. So if you are considering doing a privacy solution or you have an existing one that's not performing well, we would love to hear from you. But thank you very much to the person who asked this question. All right, so let me check the list of questions here. Anything to add to that, Sam, Colleen?
No, I mean, I set up 4Comply for clients all the time. So, and usually what happens is we set up GDPR as a first step, and then later on, like I just had one of my clients come back and we set up PIPL, which is another law. And before that, we set up it's the Australia law. I'm drawing a blank on what the name of it is. But every time it's easy, like, because we've already done, like, it's all kind of pre-set up for you. So you decide, okay, we want to put PIPL in place now, and all the different regions and countries are listed, and you basically just update it and you say, follow PIPL. It's easy to do once you've set it all up, but you need kind of the structure and the platform to do that, which is, what you said earlier, Richard.
Great, thank you. All right, so our next question, and again, if you have additional questions, feel free to add them. We still have some time left. This person is by the name of Anonymous, a mysterious person. Is there any way to easily check to see our segmentation overlap between multiple master segments?
I have a method. I don't know if it's an easy method. Here, let me share my screen again.
Are you gonna do intersect?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you share like a segment list and then you plug it in.
Yeah, so I'm using filters here, but so the less easy part is you'd have to export all of those 6 segments to a shared list so that you could bring them into a segment like this. But then what you can do when you have multiple criteria here is highlight both or highlight all of them and then select intersect, and that will create a new list with just the people that are on both of these. And it will be a static list, unfortunately, so but you can use that to get a count of how many are overlapped, or if you want to identify those specific people so that you can like look into their records and see what the overlap is, or make an adjustment or exclude them from something. That's a way to make Eloqua do the work of checking the 2 or more things against each other to see where there's overlap.
So there
Um,
is one,
I don't know if
so
that's the easiest method, but
depending on the segment. So if the segment just has like one criteria, or if it's like a list upload into a segment, if you want to go back to sharing your screen, Colleen,
oh man,
sorry,
that's
because
okay.
you, instead of like exporting and uploading into a segment, like if you right click contacts created last 12 months, oh, so this is already shared, but if you were to create like a new criteria, so let's say you did filter criteria, yep, and just do anything, like you could say email address is not blank, which basically will bring in everyone or anything. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and you click save first on this. But if you right click that filter criteria, I don't know if it's
I
saved
didn't save
yet.
it. Do you want me to?
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Just save it as an untitled segment. We'll delete it later. Okay, so now that it's saved, if you right click, you can hit share. And that becomes like something you can pull into any segment. So if you have these master segments that have a simple criteria like that, that way you can just boom, 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 pop them all in, and you're not having to like push data out and pull it back in or upload anything like that. That was something I learned years and years and years into Eloqua. So that's another shortcut.
All right, thank you. Let me check the questions. I don't see any, so we're going to do a last call for any new questions. We'll just give a pause here. Before we end, I do want to thank everyone who attended today. We hope that this was beneficial to you and that we're able to answer a few of your questions and share some tips that were helpful to you. And let's see, looks like that's it for today. Those are all the questions. So let me just do one thing.